For the first time in 2.5 decades, the New York Knicks are going to a conference final.
Well, I look at the loss to the Knicks. This was luck. I mean, this was. I mean, like, no, think about this. No. I'm serious. In order to win a title, you have to be good and lucky. There's nothing on the Knicks that tell me we need to revamp our roster to beat them.
And we've got Fox Sports senior NBA analyst Ric Bucher with us now. As you just saw, the Knicks eliminated Paul's Celtics in 6 games, despite the best efforts from our Celtics legend. He did the walk. It helped a little bit.
Got us one more win.
It did. It extended.
You look skinny, man. Did you?
Man,
how much did you lose?
I lost some. I didn't definitely drop some lbs.
Yeah.
Stress lbs. Well, let's start there, Paul. Do the Celtics need to make major changes after failing to make it back to the conference finals?
I don't think there's major changes that need to be made, Joy. Everybody's going to try to break you up. This is what the media does. They try to break up a potential dynasty. Listen, we got everybody under contract.
You're the media now.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm not trying to break us up.
Well, don't look at me.
No, but they're like,
why are you looking at me?
Oh, they need to cut costs. There's $500 million. Well, look, they just got bought for $6 billion. Somebody got some paper over there. So I'm just saying, though, what they need to do, they can use, like what all championship teams do that, don't repeat. And as you look at the roster, you look at contract situations, they don't need no major changes, because when I look at the core, the main core for me is Jason Tatum Brown and Derek White. I don't know what's going to happen with Porzingis. He has one more year guaranteed before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. Is there an opportunity to re-sign him? If we can, I say yes, but if not, maybe that's a potential trade chip if we can improve. I think we need to improve on some depth as we, move forward. Guys a year older, and we're relatively still young for the most part. But we have some interchanging pieces that, hey, look, all championship teams go through. If you look, what Golden State did after they won their first one, they got better. They added KD. So if there's an opportunity for the Celtics to get better as other teams are improving, looking at what the Celtics did, listen, they won 61 games last year. So they just need a little tune-up. That's all. It's still a lot of miles they can get on this, on this whip. It's not like, them old schools Key got over there in L.A. where he's pushing 200,000 miles. It's still young miles on our whip. So, a little tune-up here and there, we'll be fine.
Yeah, they don't need a replacement.
No, they don't need a replacement.
No, I don't think they need to make major changes. There's always going to be some change on the back end to the middle to the back end of a roster. That's just how it goes. But in terms of their top-end dudes, maybe you take a look at a Drew Holiday, depending on if you can get better at that spot. Even to a point where you think about the top-end guys, you're not getting better than Tatum and Brown and Derek White, and even Porzingis, if you want to add that to the mix. You're just not going to get better in that spot. Paul mentioned the Golden State Warriors, but the Golden State Warriors didn't have to surrender everything to go get something.
Yeah.
Now, if you're telling me I could get Giannis, well, let's figure out who, you know what I'm saying? Who we can fool you with. Let's figure that out. But as far as the top end guys go, no, I don't think, it's probably 4 to 5 guys that I would say probably are mainstays with the Celtics. And the rest of the guys you kind of take a look at.
Yeah. Financially, they have to take a haircut. But I don't think that they have to rework this entire team.
Why they got to take a haircut financially?
Because they're about $500 million. That's
where did you get that number
from? For that roster. Well, if you're counting the tax that you're going to have to pay on all of the contracts that are going up, and that's assuming that you're going to re-sign a guy like Al Horford. That $18 million you can let go. I think he's hit his expiration date. You take a look at what you can get for Drew Holiday. He makes $32 million. I think he's a luxury at this point with Derek White, and whether it was injury or whatever, he didn't seem to be at the top of his game. Kristaps Porzingis is another question. But, look, Derek White, among their core players that Paul referenced, he's their oldest guy at 30 years old. The rest of them are younger than that. And I'm counting the Peyton Pritchards and pieces like that, which Sam Hauser, like all of those, their depth was one of their strengths. And so I think they have to be surgical. I think you take a look at, can you move Kristaps? Can you find another rim protector, big, who can play in the mid-range. What's your replacement for Al? Because you do need some size. But the other part is I just look at the Eastern Conference. Like, who scares you in the Eastern Conference? There's maybe Cleveland, but outside of that, or maybe New York, maybe Indiana, but there's no team where you look at and you go, oh man, we got to go get this in order to compete with them. I think the Boston Celtics, as is, healthy, is capable of competing with any of those teams.
I don't think they need major changes, but I agree with you. They're going to take a haircut on a couple guys to get that tax down. And then you have to consider that, at least for next year, you're not going to have Jason Tatum back. So if you want to continue to compete in the East, at least next year, you're going to want to add some depth to your roster. Because it's not like they're mailing it in on next year without Jason Tatum. They still have enough with their core to compete, but to make a deep run, probably not. So you want to make some changes. Nothing that's so dramatic that when he's back, you're in a bad spot.
Right.
You're not going to leverage all of that, but you have to stay competitive. You know, they'll do some tweaking. I'd like to see what they do with Porzingis because he seems to be such a critical part of what they are when they are successful. But you saw when he wasn't at 100% what it did to them. So do you keep him? Do you go look for a cheaper baby version of him? Does that even exist?
But why would I give you a baby version of him if I know that baby can turn into a Porzingis?
I'll tell you what, because he's in the last year of his deal. So if you have a guy that you don't really buy into, that is kind of the same, but you're hung up, you've invested in him long term.
We'd give him Jackson Hayes tomorrow. We'd do that.
I'm going to ask for a little bit more than that. But by the way, the Lakers are.
We'd give him that.
I knew you were going to work the Lakers into this. I knew it.
I'm just saying, we'd give you Jackson Hayes. You want that?
You got to throw in Richie Rui. You got to throw him in.
We might do that.
Oh,
we might.
Okay. Well,
I'm just trying to find a landing spot for him.
Yeah, you might have that.
Being an agent right now.
You guys are the Lakers are the cautionary tale in my mind, Joy, because they have, I don't think the Boston Celtics should overreact to getting knocked out in the second round.
Yeah.
All right? Because the teams that do, then they go and they make some grandiose deal, and it helps them in the short term, but it hangs them up in the long term. I just don't think the Boston Celtics should be thinking that way.
Well, it's tricky to me because even though Tatum went down, they were, in my opinion, going to lose this series regardless.
But they had just won the one. They won it at home in 6. I mean, was it 5? Yeah, game 5, they won at the crib.
That was.
Excuse me?
4.4% chance of winning after going down 3-1.
They still
before he got hurt, they were down what?
That was a pride.
Points.
That was a pride. That was a pride game. You're at home.
But you still got to say, if Jason Tatum had been healthy, they could be more than they came back 3-1 versus Miami. Let's just say that a healthy Celtics team.
And lost in Game 7.
But they would have had a home game again.
That's all I'm saying.
Again,
that's
and
all
they
I'm
lost
saying.
in Game 7.
4.4%.
But it went up when it went 3-2. What was the percentage?
That's all I'm saying.
8.7.
If you go.
I know it doesn't sound nice. Like it feels icky, when you say it. But they were going to lose this series, whether Tatum was
but check it out, though. 3-2 and Tatum in the lineup for Game 6. I don't know that it would have been at a 4, whatever you said, or even at 8 something.
No.
8%.
That's not how the percentages work. If you go down 3-1, can we at least all agree they were going to lose that game, whether Tatum got hurt or not?
Yes, I could agree that.
Okay. So they were down 3-1.
I don't remember.
They were down 3-1.
All right,
Here we go.
You're outnumbered. So we all felt that they were going to go 3-1.
remember for you.
Yeah,
they were down.
Yeah, they were down. They were going to lose that. So they were going to lose this series. Like, okay, we can say that with some pride or whatever. They're going to lose this series whether Jason Tatum was healthy or not.
I'm not going to say that.
You think they were going to come back from 3-1 because they had Jason Tatum?
If they go back to Boston.
Did you not watch the first 4 games?
I understand.
Yeah, remember when they went down 0-2 to start the series?
Remember they lost the first 2 games at home?
They was also up by 20 in every single game, including the one that they won.
That's
not a point in their favor.
Yeah,
but
you don't get an asterisk next to it, but at some point they were up by a bunch of points.
No, it's worse than that. They lost every game despite being up by 20.
I understand.
We're going to spot you 20 and we're still going to get you.
I understand that. But they played poorly at the end of those games and the Knicks won. All I'm saying is it's a different mindset when you're 3-2 versus 3-1. Your mindset's going to be different.
Not going to New York for a game.
That doesn't change.
Mindset's going to be different.
I hear what you... I love a good mindset. It's important to be, mentally stable. But the 4.4% existed after they went down. Okay, so look, they had a chance. You're telling me there's a chance. Yes, they had a chance. They had a 4.4% chance statistically that they were going to come back. I think Jason Tatum is an incredible player. I think the Knicks were better than the Celtics throughout the entirety of this series. I don't care that the Celtics went up 20 points. They lost that lead, which means that they either did not respect the Knicks, they weren't as physical, or they weren't good at closing in this series. Whatever it was, all I'm saying is they need to make some changes, because even if Jason Tatum was available, in my opinion, they were still going to lose this series, and math is on my side.
Paul is over there thinking so hard. You got anything, Paul?
Yeah, I do got something.
Okay.
But I'm saying Jason Tatum, we don't know the timeline on him, right? So we figure that the Achilles injury takes about 10 months, I want to say, which is probably going to be most of the season next year if they decide to bring him back. So if I'm the Celtics, why panic and make a move to where I'm probably, if I would look and see what type of team we are first. Because think about it, like if they're...
You mean mid-season sort of?
Let's
like
see
come back as is.
Yeah, think it. With Jason Tatum out, I want to see what we look like. I don't need to make a move just to kind of see what changes do I have to make. I don't have to make no changes. I could just play it out, say like something happens where Porzingis misses times, which he does, and we become a bottom-tier team or even a play-in team. Because we're dealing with injuries, we're dealing with age, we're dealing with a lack of depth probably moving forward. And so why force a trade and say, hey, let me make a move, not knowing if we'll be, where does that take us?
Well,
first or second round?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying
without
that you
Tatum?
force something, but understanding that they were going to lose this series, minus the 4.4% chance. They were going to lose this series whether he was healthy or not. Now, I understand he's not going to be healthy for most of next season. But I'm saying, looking at where you are, they should still assess, why did we lose this series where we mostly had Jason Tatum? How did we go down 0-2? Like, what are the tweaks that we need to make so that when he comes back and we are at our full strength with our core, that we aren't going to lose to the New York Knicks in the second round?
Well, I look at the loss to the Knicks. This was luck. I mean, this was. I mean, like, no, think about this. No, I'm serious. And I say this every year in the playoffs. In order to win a title, you have to be good and lucky. If I'd have told you Boston's going to be up their first 2 home games by 20 points and they're going to lose both of them, you have to have a little luck on your side. And the Knicks got lucky.
Yeah, they were lucky that Boston was terrible at closing them out.
That Boston missed open shots, because when they did all the analytics, when I looked and they said out of the 100 threes they shot in the first couple games, that 60 of them was wide open, and that means within 6 feet of your man. They don't normally do that, so they got lucky, and that's a thing. Luck is a thing.
But so are mid-game adjustments. Like if you're chucking the ball at the board and it's bouncing off instead of going in, maybe you start making the adjustments in the mid-game so you don't shoot 300 threes and make 4 of them.
Well, they don't count it. They didn't count on missing them at a NBA record rate. You know what I'm saying? We broke an NBA record for misses. We didn't expect that. Like, coming into these, we're going to say, the game plan for us Knicks, we got hope the Boston Celtics miss an NBA record, and then we'll have a chance, you guys. But they did.
I don't know.
But they did. So there's an element of luck in this.
Everyone needs a break.
And luck, so I wouldn't panic.
Luck isn't my favorite word.
So I wouldn't even panic. I'm not even looking at the Knicks like they just outplayed us. They probably outworked them. They probably got some hustle and some calls there, and we missed shots. I'm not out here going to revamp. Like, if we came back healthy, it's not a move. You think about this. When you win a championship, you're like, all right, we need this, we need that. There's nothing on the Knicks that tell me we need to revamp our roster to beat them.
Paul, there is nothing about luck when it comes to a best-of-7 series.
Yeah, it is.
The best team always wins.
Rick, I won a title.
Series.
We got lucky, too. You want me to tell you why we got lucky? Because in Game 3, we were down 20 points, and we walked them down and won in a game we're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
Not supposed to win.
No, when 2 contenders play, and if you look at the numbers, whenever a team in the playoffs is up 20, probably 99% of the time.
I'm not talking about one particular game.
Well,
it happened twice. It happened twice.
I get it. It's an element of luck every year. There's an element there.
I think there's an element of luck.
If KD doesn't get hurt versus Toronto, does Toronto still beat them? They got lucky that he got hurt. You see what I'm saying? There's something along the road that helps you get there.
Yeah.
You know what?
Maybe
In the big picture, I agree with you. But in terms of a matchup, to suggest that the New York Knicks were lucky to beat the Boston Celtics,
because that was a terrible matchup for them because they
were
were
already winning the
Celtics.
series before Jason Tatum got hurt. If you want to say, if Jason Tatum, you want to.
I'm not even talking.
If you want to throw that in with Steph Curry getting hurt in Game 1, 13 minutes in,
they got lucky.
Houston got lucky. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But applying
I'm not
luck
saying
to
the
this
injury.
particular series,
I am applying luck because it's not the luck that Jason Tatum went down. It's the luck that you came back from 20 in 2 games in a row in Boston Garden.
I don't. You do it twice. I don't think it's luck.
Up 20. That's not supposed to happen.
Maybe once.
If you go to the
twice.
middle of the game and do the analytics, like when they put in the percentages of the Knicks are supposed to lose, they have a 4% chance of winning this game. When they put that up and they come back and win, they got lucky.
Joy put that up.
Listen,
4%.
That's history. That's not analytics. That's like just what happened.
Man.
No, I'm saying in the games 1 and 2.
There was a
point in the game where it says the Boston Celtics have a 90% chance to win this game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They do the in-game percentages.
Right.
So most of the time they're going to win 99% of the time.
The luck part of it is the complacency that the Celtics got in those 2 games. They beat them 4 times in the regular season. So they get complacent, they chilling, they think they're going to just roll through it, and all of a sudden...
So that's luck?
Yes, because they
no,
just...
it's not. That's circumstance.
Why is it not luck?
That means the Boston Celtics were not mentally tough enough to say, you know what,
You can say mentally tough. I'm not going to say mentally tough, because I think they are mentally tough. But they just allowed themselves to pull their foot off the gas pedal.
No, but luck to me is happenstance. Like, you can't explain it. You just explained it. But you just said, you know what, they kicked their ass during the regular season, and so they came into the playoffs not feeling the same way. That, to me, is circumstance, not luck.
It was luck because the Celtics was able to treat it that way, and the Knicks was able to just keep their foot on the pedal and fight through whatever little adversity they had in those first 2 games.
Being down 20?
I think that,
they fought through it where the Celtics was like chilling. That's what they were doing.
I think that's a characteristic.
I think that's a disservice to what the Knicks did to the Celtics.
1,000% it is.
I think the Knicks dominated them in the first 2 games by staying focused on coming back and winning those games.
And they were a better closing team.
If you want to say
they're a better
that,
fourth-quarter team.
If you want to say better closing, and you want to say dominated late in the game, then yes. But you didn't dominate them if you're down by 20 going into the 4th quarter.
I don't care if I'm down by 60. If I win the game, I won.
Yep.
And you messed up.
And I was the better team.
And I was the better team.
And late in the games, you were.
No,
Whoever's
in
better
totality.
at the end of the game is the winner.
You know what? I'm going to let you be the better team. I'm going to let you be the better team for 3 quarters, and then I'm going to annihilate you in the 4th quarter. And I want you to feel good about those first 3 quarters as long as I get the W.
I'm not a Celtic fan, and I don't care if they win or lose. I'm just trying to give you my point of the way I saw things. I am a Knicks fan. I'm rooting for the Knicks.
Look, this is how I saw it. Think about this. You have 2 boxers, go 12 rounds. I beat you up for 11 rounds, and then you caught me in the 12th, and you slapped me.
Yep.
Who was the better fighter?
The guy who caught you in the 12th round.
I beat you up for 11 rounds, though.
The one that won.
I let you wear yourself out.
You got lucky.
And I
you threw an
popped you.
overhead beat.
Ain't no luck. All right, somebody who definitely won, which we will all agree on that, is Brock Purdy. Huge news in the NFL over the weekend. Brock Purdy and the Niners agreed to 5 years, $265 million extension. The number that he cares about is the guaranteed $181 million in guaranteed money. And he ties former Mr. Irrelevant with Jared Goff for the 7th most in average annual values. The Niners also signed linebacker Fred Warner to a 3-year, $63 million deal today. So the Niners are signing some checks. But key to the Niners, make the right move to sign Brock Purdy for $53 million a year.
Yeah, absolutely. They could have signed him for $60 million a year if they wanted to. All they had to do was add another year or 2 onto the deal, stretch it out, make it sound good. But it's not, as you said, in your lead-in right there. It's not about the
65
the 53
or the 53
a year. It's about the 181.
Mm-hmm.
And 181 to 265, I believe, if my math is correct, is about 70%. That's what I'm talking about. Give me 70% of my damn money. Give me 75% of my money. Because it's really, if you break it down, it's probably a 3 or 4 year deal based on what he's going to get in the first 3 years, which is $165 million. He'll get that. The 4th year, he'll get 170. by the time, if he's worth the grain of salt, any good at all, by the time he gets to that 4th year, they'll be renegotiating his deal some point in that 3rd season if he's worth anything to get cap relief and to extend him because they don't want to have a contract holdout or anything like that. But I'm happy for him, man. Really, I am. Guy was scheduled to make about $2 million this year. You know, in real world, yeah, that's good money, but we're talking about an athletic world, an athlete's world. This dude, man, I'm already looking at houses over the Bay Bridge if I'm him. I'm already, you know what I'm saying? Rick, he already out there trying to see, well, do I want to be over the Bay Bridge or do I want to be, where do I want to be over here? Do I want to go all the way to Marin County? Like, he's already dreaming. Good for him, man. I'm happy for him. Really, I am.
Let me tell y'all something. Listen to this. He already done been to the Super Bowl, been to the NFC Championship game, got hurt. If Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl, this is going to be the greatest football movie we're going to watch ever. If he wins a Super Bowl, think about that.
Mr. Irrelevant wins the Super
That's going to be the name of the movie.
Yep.
It's going to surpass Rudy and what's the other one? What's the other one with Sammy Jackson?
Which one?
I mean, that was Coach Carter. It's going to pass all them movies up if he wins a Super Bowl.
Remember the Titans?
Right. If he, I mean, dang, come on. This is the last pick of the draft. This is like a throwaway. You know what I'm saying? It's like seeing that dollar on your floor in your house now. You just look at it and walk past it. You know how dollar bills look at us like, come on, you walk past them now. They're like, oh, let me get that. You know, I got to pick that up.
You know the interesting thing that Paul brings up, Rick? They're both great stories. But which story is it Kurt Warner or is it Brock Purdy?
If he wins a Super
Kurt
Bowl.
Warner
Well, of course he's got to win a Super Bowl.
win a Super
I'm just
Bowl.
saying, if he wins a Super Bowl,
That's what I'm saying.
Which one of them is like...
Well, I mean, you also have Tom Brady, who was a 6th-round pick.
But see, Brady just, for whatever reason, don't feel like his name should be in this conversation.
It doesn't now, but yeah.
But even then, it probably wouldn't have felt that way to me because he was a prospect.
Well, no, you know what the other...
He was a prospect.
It's also, he did it so many times, you're like, oh, you know what? They just messed up. They missed on him.
Right.
As opposed to Kurt Warner, you found something.
starter, though, at Michigan with a full scholarship.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
so
fair.
it's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't really belong in that conversation.
What do you think,
fair.
Rick? Right move?
Yeah, no, it's a right move, and it's the fact that they got it done early. And when you look at the number overall and what you're usually paying your quarterback, the percentage of your cap, like this comes in at about 17% when it kicks in, because he's still going to be on a $5 million contract this coming year. So when it kicks in, it's 17%. The Chiefs Mahomes was making 16% of theirs when they won the Super Bowl. So it's not prohibitive that the money that he's getting is going to prevent you from building the rest of your roster. And then he's going to play this year with his hair on fire because even though he's making $5 million, he knows what's coming. He knows that you already invested in him. So
his number went up to $5 million. Oh, because he got the incentives.
Well, he still has the remaining. So this is an extension off of his existing deal.
But he got his base salary is only in the 2s, and they probably gave him that incentive bonus.
Right.
He got those incentive bonus in his last year.
Exactly. And then the other part of it is, so this puts him like 7th or 8th in terms of starting quarterbacks and what they're getting
He's
paid.
tied with Jared Goff for average annual value.
Yeah.
Which is 7.
We can talk.
So he's 7th there. He was ranked, he came out of last season ranked 14th among quarterbacks in the league. So he's got a little work to do to step up, but it's not like, you know, where we were, where every quarterback who came up now had to get the top dollar, like he had to be the highest paid. The 49ers didn't have to go there. And in the meantime, Brock Purdy got more than probably what his ranking would warrant. So I think they found the perfect compliment.
181, that's a pretty damn good number, man.
Yeah, 181 is
But it's not crazy. It's not Deshaun
great
Watson.
number, but yeah, it's not Deshaun Watson, it's not Dak Prescott at 231, it's not Josh Allen at 250.
Yeah, but he was never going to get that though. Even now, no matter how hard he pushed, he was never going to surpass any of those guys. Because
Justin Herbert 218.
he wasn't going to pass him though.
Trevor Lawrence 200.
With Trevor Lawrence, he probably could have got close to at 200, but those other guys, he wasn't going to come near them. And
Well,
that's why he was able, that's why he said, sign me.
I do think him not resetting the market, though, is interesting for the quarterback position. Because
Of him?
Yes.
because it's him. Now.
I hear you, but he went to a Super Bowl.
doesn't matter.
He went to
Dak
an
reset it.
NFC Championship game.
But certain organizations and certain teams value players differently.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
That's
but
all.
Well, congrats. Either way, he's having a
For
great
sure.
day. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.